in the Japanese homes, before you walk into a Japanese home or residence, they would have a gate that you would walk in, right? And it had a little thing, have a little thing, blah, 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 with a household of. The gate itself is not, when you walk through the gate, that is not the way. That's learning. That's equivalent to learning. The way is once you pass through the gate, you've started to learn. You have to get to the house and be introduced to the master and go into the house before you're actually on the way, before you're actually learning the way of. The gate is something that you enter in before you get to the house. The process between the gate and the house, that is learning. That isn't the way. The way is after you've reached the house. Do you understand? So how do we take that, and how do I translate that old Zen story? And I didn't create that. That is an old, I believe that the way that I explain that comes from an old samurai. I know it's a sword scroll that I believe was written by Yagyu Munenori. If you want to learn something, you have to first enter the gate. You have to, what am I doing? When you acquire knowledge, that learning path all the way there, that's not just reading the books. That's learning about the books. Reading the book would be the gate. What you're doing with the knowledge of the book is from here to the house. And then applying that knowledge into your life is the way. Do you catch what I mean? Okay. So everyone tends to think if I read this book, that's the way. I'm going to learn the way of the samurai if I read this book. You're not going to learn the way of the samurai if you read that book. You're just going to open the gate. That's all you're going to do. If you read this book, whatever this book is, that book is just going to open a gate. And you're going to read that book and you're going to acquire a certain amount of knowledge. And you're going to then try to do some of the things and apply those things. That's the learning. But until you've actually taken that knowledge and applied it, you actually haven't learned the way, because the way is something that happens without thought. The way we hold ourselves, the way we walk to the car, the way we go to work. You don't practice that, you do that. Who practices the way of anything? Do you practice the way you eat? Do you practice the way that you brush your teeth? No, you brush your teeth. You eat. That's the way you do it. And that people use the words in the modern day wrong. Once you've done it and you don't need to think about it, it's there, now you're doing the way. So when I say School of the Warrior Way, that's what that means. You've entered the gate. You're learning something and you're acquiring knowledge, but until you take that and apply it to where you don't have to consciously think about every single thing, on the way. We all have our own journey, which is why all of my types and stuff, it always says good luck in your journey of Budo. Because we all have our own way. We all going to have our own journey. And we have to take all of this. Every one of you guys, if I say, what did you learn from stealth walking? Every one of you guys are going to tell me something different. This technique I learned this I learned this, because it's what you felt was the most important. That's not a bad thing saying that, because it is. You're going to remember the things that's most memorable. So by translating Budo to you, School of the Warrior Way, I am using a modern definition of the kanji to fit in the modern day. But I'm not teaching that. I'm teaching you the old way. So Ru itself can also be pronounced as Nagare, which means flow. Like Nagare, like Kasui Waza, Nagare, it's a flow, like a stream, Nagare. And that means a constant flow, but it also means way of thinking, way of doing. So it's like the current, at the time, it would be the current way of. So like when you do a sword school, like Yagyu Shinkage Ryu, so Ryu is the word Ru, right? Ryu. Yagyu Shinkage Ryu, the 16th century did it different than the 17th century. The 17th century did it different than the 18th century, 19th century. There was a way, there was the Ryu, there was the Nagare. You guys catch what I mean by that? Right. It's not that they lost connection to the 16th century. They still did the same thing. But the way they did it in the 16th century was different than the way they did it in the 17th, 18th, 19th, right? But they're still connected. Because if they're not connected to it, it's not the way. It's just something you're doing. If you don't know where you're from, you can't be on the way. You're just doing something. Then that's completely different. You're not connected to anything, so you're not the way. You're just doing a way. And that is different. But to understand it, you have to put things in perspective. So just because you have something doesn't mean you're there. It just means you're going there.